Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Today, we got something super, super special. You know, it's a Wednesday, so we always bring in the heat and we drop some stuff to help you produce more, grow your practice, and acquire more patients online. Today, we got a super special story. I'm bringing in a special guest to share with you how his practice and the group that they work for saved over $80,000 a year by taking their marketing in-house and ditching the agencies. Today, I also got Max with me, which I'm stoked about. Max, how you doing, brother?
Doing well, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. So we got Tim of Game Shape Physical Therapy, who specializes in working with athletes and people, weekend warriors who want to perform better and recover from injury. And so we're going to be walking through the strategies that they've been using to help acquire new patients online after 2.5 years of bouncing from coaches to courses to different agencies, and finally just giving up and after frustration and just deciding to take everything in-house and learn it. So without further ado, let's get Tim in here. Yo, Tim, what's going on, man?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Doing very good, very good. We got Max here too.
Excellent.
Yeah. How you been, man?
Not too shabby. How about you guys?
Doing really good. It's been busy, crazy stuff, I'm sure, just like it has on your end. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Sure.
Yeah. So just for everyone who is listening, can you just give us a quick overview of your practice, of the practice you work for, and what your role is at it?
Yeah, so I work for Game Shape Physical Therapy, and basically I kind of am a little bit of a jack of all trades. I do a little bit of the content. Now I'm primarily in charge of the Facebook advertising, as well as some video editing and other things like that. I guess content director, quote unquote, is what we'll go with for that one.
Well, for everyone listening, Tim was one of our students a few months back, and one of those rare few who don't just listen in and read and don't actually put everything into action. Tim's one of our best students we've ever had because he really is a jack of all trades. He's really good at putting this stuff into practice. So today we're hoping he's going to be able to share some of his story to help a lot of you experience some of the same success that they've been having over at their practice. So Tim, can you just walk us through long before you worked with us, what was the last 2.5 years of marketing for Game Shape like?
So we've gone through a couple of different things. Basically, I started, and my initial project was to build a series of ebooks based on different category or different topics within the physical therapy world, between body parts, different types of injuries, things like that. So we'd initially built that, and we were hoping to use some of that for outreach. We had kind of put those out to different doctors' offices, got limited return on that. Then we started to turn to Facebook advertising. I personally didn't have any experience with that at the time, so I was just kind of winging it, trying to get some shots off in the dark here, come up with some copy. I didn't really have any idea of how to categorize what we were looking for, what our audience was going to be, anything like that. So for a little while, I was running that operation. We were having pretty limited success. And then we tried a couple of different agencies as well. When we went through the agency process, there was, they started to give a lot of leads, but a lot of those weren't really turning into new patients per se. They would come up with some ads. We didn't really have any control over them. We didn't really get to see what they were doing on their end. They would give us a list of names. We would try and kind of capitalize on those, and there wasn't too much success. So we kind of turned back to me doing it. We talked to a couple other people that gave us a couple of pointers. And that was pretty tough as well. One of the things we were doing a lot of the time was only running one ad, which you guys kind of cured us of, which made a big difference on that front. I was coming up with some really basic copy and putting it out there and seeing what we were coming up with, and wasn't super successful. And then we kind of ran into you guys and started to get a little bit more proactive on that front.
Yeah, man, it's insane how many people have that same experience, just kind of bouncing from, we call it the agency loop or the coaching loop, where you just keep going from one to the other. So you were getting leads. That wasn't the problem. It was actually just getting them to convert.
Correct. Yeah. For the most part. Yeah. They would send us, they would guarantee X number of leads, and they would give them to us, but they weren't necessarily qualified per se. They weren't really people that were looking to take action, looking to come and actually come and meet with anybody, stuff like that.
Everyone listening to this, either live or on the replay, smash the like button and comment below if you resonate with that. If you've hired an agency or a coach that promised the world and just didn't deliver, because I know every single person that's in this group is in here because of that exact reason, because there's so much ambiguity which way to go, and every single coach and agency promises the world, but very few actually deliver. So, I mean, what was the point where you're just like, I'm done, and we're going to take this in-house and figure it out ourselves?
So there was the last ditch. It kept basically bouncing from me doing it to an agency, then it would come back to me. And the last agency, it was something like $2,000 a month. And we realized that they were actually, the ad spend portion of that was something like $150, and we didn't really know where the other $1,800 were going for that kind of thing. So there was basically, we realized we were leaking a lot of money, and we didn't have any control over what that was yielding us in the end. So we basically decided, let's see if we can actually figure this out. We'll at least, even if we're not really getting that many patients in, we'll at least know where all the money's going, know what we're doing, see if we can actually tweak that, as opposed to just kind of throwing up our hands and giving it to somebody else and seeing if that would work out or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hear about that all the time, about the first one you mentioned already, like just running one ad. And it's like the Facebook works by continually testing and repeating and testing more and more and more. That's how, one, you like get to the point of leads, and then two, maintain it. So what was the key difference between the leads you got using these agencies where they weren't really coming in, and the leads you're getting through our system that we taught you in Challenge?
I would say the key difference is just the fact that they're actually looking for something. Like we, as opposed to having a generic ad that, we'd get somebody to click on something. And for a while, those ebooks that I'd written, we were using that, and we were trying to draw people in to get them to get the free ebook and bring them in. And, they were just kind of looking for the free thing. And one of the main differences with the program that you guys ran was there is an expectation that they're going to put a little bit of money forward. So as soon as you have that expectation set that they're giving money, that person actually cares enough they're not just looking to scoop up something free and go. They're actually looking to come in and at least make some kind of effort forward. Whether they go the whole way through or not is one thing, but they're at least walking in the door so that they can see what the process looks like. And I would say that that's probably the biggest main difference. It's not somebody that you just have a name that might have a passing interest. It's somebody that has, at least some kind of intention.
Absolutely. We see that all the time. Our big thing is always repel the freebie seekers, because you can definitely get a lot of leads pretty cheap if you're giving something for free, but they're always not the most interested in actually paying for the services.
And that was something I had never actually considered. And when you guys broke that down for us of how that kind of psychology works on the ad side, it made a lot of sense to me, and has obviously proved to be doing a little bit better than we were doing before, for sure.
Absolutely.
For everyone listening, I mean, that's a little gold nugget right there. If you're running Facebook ads, just change, instead of a free offer, make it $27 to $47. If your problem is you're getting a ton of low quality leads, just put a price tag on it. Even if you're insurance based, they're always going to ask, do you take my insurance? And just say yes, do business as usual. But if you're running ads, make them worth something. So the people that don't understand physical therapy can, put some level of perceived value to it that, makes them a more qualified patient. So definitely do that. So Tim, obviously you're a pretty savvy individual, but as you said, you weren't really doing Facebook ads before all this stuff. For all the people who are kind of terrified of the technical stuff, one, how long have you actually been working on Facebook ads yourself? And two, how difficult or how easy was it to launch the system that Max and I showed you?
So before we ran into you guys, I was on and off doing it for about 2 years, probably. And like I said, I was kind of just like a blind squirrel looking for a nut at that point, just kind of trying to figure out what I could figure out, reading articles. But one of the things too is a lot of the stuff that if you go online and you search, it's pretty hard to find stuff that's specific to physical therapy. A lot of things are looking to sell a knickknack here or something like that. Some little product that you can order off of a website, that kind of a thing. A lot of the stuff with ClickFunnels was obviously based on a system that was built for, he started selling potato guns. So a lot of the stuff that I was looking at was working on that, not converting somebody to actually come into a physical location and like try and take care of their body. So my personal experience was, while it was 2 years, it was pretty low. And then when we came to you guys, one of the really nice things was how well you broke it down into a step-by-step thing. So it is like, if you actually just open up a Facebook ad and you go to try and start, it's a lot of different things to check off, right? Like if you're just looking at it as a bulk of text and everything like that. So you guys did a really nice job of breaking down each particular step, why each particular step was going on, which is one of the things a lot of people don't tell you. Is they'll kind of give you the information and you're like, okay, well, this is what you're telling me to do, but I don't understand why you want me to do it that way. And you guys did a really good job of breaking all that down into kind of granular pieces that like made it logical and easy to implement.
Love to hear that, man. That's music to our ears. Absolutely. So, and one, we're also glad you had so much success with the challenge. So one of the things that you kind of talked about already, as far as like seeing where all the money's going, it's a huge difference between the agency and doing it in-house. What are some other key differences you see with, working with an agency versus having your hands on the wheel and doing it in-house?
Well, yeah, I mean, just like you said, it's just that aspect of control. You can actually see, they might be running 10 ads out of one particular campaign, but you have no idea which one's doing well, why you think it might be doing well, what verbiage is working, things like that. You're just kind of putting your faith in that you threw some money at something and it's going to solve the problem. So actually having hands on the wheel, you can sit down and look and say, okay, well, we tried this thing, but it doesn't seem like people are really responding to this image or this verbiage, and make those adjustments yourself on the fly. So as opposed to just having it be like, hey, we aren't seeing the results we'd like to ad agency X. Are you guys going to make any changes? And they can tell you yes, but you don't actually have any transparency into that operation. So regardless of what your results are looking like, you at least get the opportunity to, make those adjustments yourself, and try different things and be assured that like you can actually break down the system, see what's not working, what is working, as opposed to just kind of blind faith.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, for obviously you took this stuff in-house, and a lot of people are probably wondering like, well, I really don't have the time to do this. I'm really curious as to, once you had this system, once you had it set up, how much time does doing it yourself actually add on to your, daily life?
It's not really a heap. Like obviously if you're building a new ad campaign, then it's going to take a little bit of time. You're going to have to go through, find the images that you want to use, things like that. But once you have ones that you find are working, then it's basically going in and doing some maintenance. Every week you go in, you take a look, see which ones seem to be performing well, maybe turn a couple off, maybe do a little bit of a variation on them. But it's not a huge, like, it's not an overwhelming amount of time. It's not as much time as you would think it would be, for sure.
Nice. So how was Max? Sorry, did you have something you wanted to ask for?
You can go ahead first.
How has learning this changed? You might not have thought about this yet, but how has this changed the way that you would hire an agency in the future, if you even would?
I mean, personally, I don't know that I ever would, but it would certainly add a lot of layers of questions into that process, where I would want to know a lot more about what their theories are, how they're actually going to process that, how they run the leads, what demographics they're going after. Making sure, one of the things that we found with one of the agencies was that sometimes you'd end up getting leads that were never ever going to make it to your practice, like that were way outside of your physical range. We would get people from different states and things like that coming through, and obviously that's not going to be useful for anybody. Nobody's going to take a 2-hour drive to go do some physical therapy when there's, you know, a dozen clinics that are within a half-hour drive of them. So definitely, I would certainly do a lot more mining on like talking about what their actual process is, instead of just being like, oh, well, you're guaranteeing 60 leads a month. Well, I want to know way more about exactly where those leads are coming from, what your actual conversion rate are on those leads, things like that. I would definitely have a lot more questions for somebody if I was going to go that route again.
That's what it's all about, man. That's why it's about, before you outsource, you got to know what the heck's going on. Because now you're much more educated, and most likely, if you ever decide to delegate, if it ever gets to that point, it's, you know, you're not going to have to bounce around from agency to agency. You'll be able to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Love that.
Right on. So I got one more question at least. How would you say things went like right out of the gate from Challenge compared to where they are now? Did it take some time to kind of build up a steady flow, or how have things progressed since that time?
I would say like the results that we were getting pretty much right off the bat have kind of held consistent, which is nice, because I mean, they were more results than we were getting before. So consistency on that front is fine with me. And then you start to see some of them build a little bit more. You get a little bit of a feel of which ones are performing. And then you can kind of spin off of those. So it does, like, some of them took a little bit of time to get running, but for the most part, it was relatively quick to start seeing the results of having the campaigns run the way that you guys have them set up.
Right on. Very cool.
Then how, obviously it's been a little while since we initially helped you set all this stuff out, set this stuff up, but how are things going right now?
I mean, obviously our world has changed a little bit. So there was, I think that certainly had an impact on the amount of people that were willing to, you know, step foot inside of a physical business. And actually there was a lull there for a little bit, and things have started to trickle back in a little bit more. But the nice thing with it is that most of the people that have actually gone through and signed up have actually followed through on that. So, you know, here and there, I'm making tweaks to try and figure out how we can get people to click through that process a little bit better. But yeah, I would say it's pretty consistent at this point, especially now that, you know, the pandemonium has died down a little bit.
Right.
So if someone listening is on the fence of like, I really don't know if I want to work with another agency, and they're considering trying to learn all this stuff, what advice might you have for them?
I'm sorry, if they're looking to go to another agency, is that what you said?
No, if they're kind of tired of going from agency to agency, and the marketing they've done in the past hasn't really worked, and they're thinking about doing all this, moving it all in-house with Facebook ads.
Yeah.
What advice might you have?
I mean, I would say go for it, because the bottom line is that you at least get to control your spend there. Like, you're not just throwing $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 out the door and hoping for the best. If you're moving it inside, especially if you have some guidance, like from these fine gentlemen here, you know, that helps an awful lot. Having that kind of step-by-step process of what you're really looking to do with it makes a big difference. And yeah, I think the amount of like satisfaction that you get out of the ads that you're receiving and the people that are coming in the door is going to be a big difference versus, you know, you chasing around the leads that some agency sent you. You know, it's a product of your work, of things that you're seeing and stuff like that. I would certainly recommend it.
Yeah. Well, Tim, really, really appreciate you jumping on and sharing your story with us. If anyone is interested in learning more about how Tim has set this stuff up, what the campaign structure looks like, comment ads below, and one of our team members will follow up with you within the next 24 hours to tell you how you might be able to implement the same system that Tim set up within his practice. And we'll get back to you. But Tim, thank you so much for your time, man. Really appreciate it. We've loved working with you and hope to continue to grow our relationship. But thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. These guys are great. Like, this was the first time that I really felt confident going through a Facebook process. So if you're thinking about it, these guys are a great way to go.
Hey,
Thanks
really
so much, Tim. It's always a pleasure having you.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Later, everybody.